Hello. How are you doing? Clifford and Himanshu, welcome.
Hey Ruby.
Hi Ruby, hi Himanshu.
Awesome. How are
Hi
you both
Clifford.
doing?
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm also
Sorry,
doing
go ahead, Clifford.
yeah. I was just saying I'm also doing great.
Good to hear that. Awesome. But yeah, welcome to the stream, the two of you, and also anybody else who's jumping on. If you're new to our student program streams, just a little bit of background. What we do is we promote API literacy and API education through a couple of different programs, which you can find on our webpage. Let me actually get that link shared with you up here. There it is. And then there's also a QR code in the corner. If you're curious about our student programs, you can check out that QR code. But yeah, if you are unfamiliar with our programs, they are free and they offer digital badges that you can display on your social profiles like LinkedIn and even on your resume. If you're a regular, looks like we have jumping in and out. Totally cool. But if you are a regular on our student program streams, what you can expect is a monthly episode on the last Tuesday of every month. And what we often do is invite guests to the stream to present a tech talk or have students from our very own Postman student community. So if that's something that you're really interested in, you can always check out our stream, mark it on your calendar, join us on the last Tuesday of every month. And if you want to stay up to date on what we've been doing, our streams especially, I send out a reminder every time there's an episode on our Discord. So here's a link to join our Discord community up on your screen. Awesome. But with that, let me actually shift into a round of formal introductions because I know some of you might be familiar with me, but others of you might not have ever met Clifford or Himanshu before. So we're going to do some introductions. I'll start with myself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my name, my role, where I'm located, and how long I've been in this community. So my name's Ruby, and I'm a senior developer advocate at Postman. I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, which is on the U.S. East Coast. And I'm coming up on about 2 years here at Postman as a postmanaut in the fall. So I'm going to pass the torch over to Clifford. Can you introduce yourself to folks?
Yeah. So my name is Clifford Omar. I'm an undergrad student at Moi University in Kenya. And apart from that, I've been part of the student community, Postman student community for I think since around November last year. And I'm just happy to be in this stream and happy to share with all of you.
Awesome. Himanshu, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks Ruby. Hey everyone, I'm Himanshu. I'm from India, a second year undergrad at AKTU University, and I'm a Postman Student Leader, as you all can see over here. And I've been a part of this community from past 6 months, and it's been an incredible community. Like I have been hosting events and all, they're very supportive.
Awesome. So we have some student leaders from different parts of the world actually joining us here today. Our student leaders are from all over the world, so it's exciting to hear from two of you at the same time today live. Again, for those folks who are jumping on, let us know where you're joining us from. I do see some comments pouring into the chat here. Hello to everyone. I see namaste, very friendly. I do see a question. Can you share something in the chat? I'm not quite sure what that is referring to, Salim, but feel free to share more about that so we can help you out. Cool. So shifting gears now, we're going to be discussing the student expert training that we talk about a lot on our streams. So super quickly, I just want to show the audience what that looks like. Here is a quick link to check out our student expert training, but also, again, you can use the QR code to see what that looks like too. Let me share my screen here, and you'll see what we're talking about with the student expert training. Get a better configuration here for you. Awesome. So once you log into Postman Student Programs or you find our webpage, this is what you'll be landing on. And you get an overview of all of our different free programs, some great photos, of course. And we have 3 huge programs that we run here. We have our Student Expert Program, Student Leader Program, and our Classroom Program. You get a brief rundown on what those are, but we'll be focusing on Student Expert training for this segment. And what that'll do, or what the Student Expert Program is a free training that you can take at your own pace at any time. It covers API fundamentals and the basics of using Postman, so you can get started building applications, working on your projects. If you're in a hackathon, it's a great tool that you can use to get started. And here are some of the benefits of taking the training. You can always sign up for it by clicking this link. You'll see a form where you can just simply sign up. Again, it's free. Once you submit, you'll get your own link to join our academy where the course is. And what that looks like is this right here. I'm already logged in, of course. So the only course that I see here is the Postman API Fundamentals Student Expert. There's even a note on the bottom here to get certified once you complete it. It's just the one course, and there's about 10 different sections. Once you're done, you have the opportunity to, let's see where it is, submit your collection that you create through this training, and you'll claim a badge. When you claim that badge, you have the opportunity to download a certificate as well. And of course, you can put that on LinkedIn, you can put it on your resume, wherever you think would be super helpful. I know folks in the industry are always looking for learners and individuals who are advancing their skills. So this is a great way to prove that you are. Awesome. So let me stop sharing here. Then one thing I did want to add is that if you are taking your training and let's say you get stuck on something and you have questions, you can always jump onto our Discord community. So here's that link to Discord. And we have some channels that are specific to student expert training. So if you're stuck, you can ask your question there. Folks from the community are always jumping on to help each other. So it's a very helpful, supportive community there in Discord. If you have other questions, you can always create a ticket with us by emailing us at studentprogram@postman.com. And yeah, that's about it for the Discord. One last thing I want to mention is that you can also always stay up to date on the latest and greatest from our community over on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's link is right here. On LinkedIn, you'll see recordings of these streams plus recent blog posts. So let me actually show you. I realize I had it up here. Maybe I do. Yes, I do. Cool. So this is what our stream looks like. We're actually just live right now, so that was tricky. But that's our student program LinkedIn page. If you go on there and you find us, you'll see our live stream, of course. You'll also see our blog posts and other recent announcements. So it's a great spot to be as well. Awesome. Let me actually shift gears again because now I'm sure you're curious why Himanshu and Clifford are here. So for today's episode, I thought it would be really great to bring in some of our own student leaders to chat about their experiences in the program and some of their recommended developer resources for students. To start us off, I will ask each of Himanshu and Clifford some questions one at a time so that we can kind of get to know both of them before diving into some great resources that I know that they have prepared to show you all. As we have some participants joining in, you all can also feel free to share your questions for them in the chat. So please feel free to share those questions. I'm looking out for them. I'll flash them across the screen and then Himanshu and Clifford can cover them. Awesome. So let me actually share my... Oh, I don't need to share my screen for this. Apologies. I'll ask my first question here. And this question is going to be for Himanshu. What was it that made you apply for the Postman Student Leader Program?
So yeah, okay. So I was using Postman since long, so I'm a full stack developer. So like Postman is like day-to-day tool for me. So I thought of like how can I like resolve queries and all. So I found the Discord community of the Postman. So there I saw the community like there I saw the like posting stuff like Postman Student Expert Training, Postman Student Leader Training. So I was curious like what's that? So I thought of applying for Postman Student Expert and I found it really great. Like it upgraded my API literacy and helped me to promote like API literacy in my college too through the Postman Leader program. And it's really great opportunity for the folks out there who are studying in college.
Awesome. How about yourself, Clifford? What made you join the Postman Student Leader Program?
Okay. For me, prior to applying to the Postman program, I had never used Postman and I had never interacted with Postman before. for me, I think it was more of like bringing these amazing programs to campus and just creating more exposure to the students. So I think the first time I heard of anything Postman was a hackathon that I attended, and it was sponsored by Postman, and we had like some different special tracks and challenges that involved using Postman, and I think that's the first place that I interacted with Postman, and I found it quite useful for testing or like just tinkering with APIs in a low effort way and just making it fun, making the process fun. So yeah, I think after learning that, the organizer of the hackathon told me about the student programs and told me that you can check it out and see if you want to apply. And that's when I actually checked it out. And they connected me with Ali Mustafa, who is quite amazing in the program. So yeah, I reached out to him and asked him about the program. We had a call. He told me everything about it, and I felt it was really awesome. That's when now I decided to apply and bring this amazing opportunity to my campus.
Awesome. So it's really great to hear from both of you about your background and what really led you into this program and the folks that you had interacted with in the community as well. I do want to ask you, I'll shift this to Clifford first this time, but what was or what has been the most exciting thing for you about the Postman Student Leader program so far?
Okay, for me, I think the most exciting thing, there's so many, but let me see what stands out. For me, I think it's much of the support they provide, especially in terms of bringing your event together. So, as a student, sometimes, depending on the campus or wherever you are, there are those challenges when you want to bring together an event or you want to put together an awesome hackathon. Probably it might be financial, it might be just putting things in place, the logical and dealing with the logistics. But I think that's the support that they offer is what stands out for me. The community, you can interact with so many people who have done it over and over again. You can run your ideas and your plans with them, and they can help you identify areas where you can improve on. And the program itself offers support in terms of swag and any financial help that can make your event a success. And I think that's what stands out for me.
Awesome. How about yourself, Himanshu?
So for me, it's like conducting events and promoting API literacy in other universities as well as in colleges, and meeting new folks out there, and like giving away the swags as well, which are sponsored by Postman. That's awesome.
Yeah, the swags are really stellar. I see you're wearing some of the swag today, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a swag for Postman Student Leader. So he's got the
yeah.
Student Leader t-shirt on. I'm upset that I forgot to wear my Student Leader shirt. They're amazing t-shirts. And I know Clifford probably has them as well. But outside of the Student Leader swag, we also have Student Expert swag, right? Sometimes when we have hosted events and there's an API 101 event where your organizer has received swag, you'll get that from there as well. Awesome. So this is a question back to Clifford. What are some ways that you've been able to engage with communities after hosting your first event?
Okay, I think the first event that I hosted was the Train the Trainer session, and it was kind of like, let me say, it was kind of like a sandbox as to what to expect from the program and just a rundown of all the things that you can do with it. So it was just a basic session, API 101, and it was sharing about what APIs are and how people can leverage Postman to use it. So I think after that, the ways that I've engaged with my community is sharing more about the student expert training, because I found it was quite hard. You couldn't cover everything in the first event. So the best thing to do was to share this amazing training, which Postman student leaders take before becoming student leaders. So for me, it was revolutionary. So I felt it would be best that I also share with my community. So that's one thing that I shared. And the other way that I kind of like did it was engaging with members of the community. trying to understand and gauge where they're at in terms of API literacy, because probably everywhere is different. You might find they are experienced and they need more niche topics on like improving on their APIs, or you might find that in your session was the first time they heard about APIs and they want to like learn more. So yeah, kind of like engaging with them to learn about that. And the final thing that I did was, now after learning what they needed, we decided to organize some monthly events. And it was just from the ground up, because in my campus, not so many people were good with APIs and Postman. So we had to start from the basics, and every month just incrementing gradually, going into deeper topics. But more importantly, we were doing it kind of like a workshop, so that after the event, they had something they could come out of it and say that this is what they did, and maybe some other stuff that they can continue doing, just giving them ideas to spark them and see what they can do after that.
Yeah, so it sounds like you took on a very like educational approach to continue engaging with the community. I heard you call the expert training revolutionary, which is such a powerful word. And obviously we have our bias, but we do think that it is revolutionary because it covers the fundamentals and it empowers people to then interact with APIs. And you can use any publicly accessible API, taking this training and moving forward into projects and things like that that you mentioned, Clifford. I have a different question for Himanshu now. If you had a friend who showed some interest in joining a student community, what kinds of things do you think that friend should look for in their search? So, in other words, what makes a great student community, in your opinion?
So according to me, like, can you just repeat a question again?
Yeah, so what is it that makes a great student community?
So what is that? Who makes a great community? So engagement. That's all. Like, if like taking the example of Postman Student Community itself. So if there are some queries in that, I try my best to answer that query. If I know about that query, or else I tag that particular person who majorly know about that query. So according to me, it's about engagement, sharing your knowledge, sharing your work, and which I do regularly in the Postman student community as well. And that's it from my side. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I was mentioning this to Himanshu earlier, but you all might have heard his name here and there on the stream because he's always sharing resources in our Discord community, which I have up on the screen now if you're curious to join. He's got a ton of resources that he's constantly sharing. That same like educational mindset that Clifford has, Himanshu does as well, in that he's always just sharing things for people to learn as he's learning, which is fantastic. But kind of shifting gears again now, let's get into some of those developer resources now to share with our audience. I know when I think of developer resources, I really think of just three categories. So those are community resources, so ways to connect with people, tools for developing projects, and resources for advancing my own learning because, of course, the learning should never stop. So kind of passing the baton here to Clifford. I know I have a few resources for each of these categories that are more generally appropriate for folks who are not just students, but I'll wait to share those. But first, turning to Clifford, what are some resources that you like to lean on, or that maybe you have created yourself that you think students would find especially helpful?
Yeah, so I think when it kind of comes to resources, I think the first place that one should start is like, what are they looking to learn? What are they looking to do? Because in different spaces, there are resources that are best placed for it. So like different topics and different things that you want to learn. But I think I'll start with the resources for community, because community is actually like a really great place to learn with others. And I think for me, one resource that stands out is Meetup, meetup.com. So it's kind of like just this platform, and they're kind of like having communities just register whatever they're doing. So like it's sort of like, I'd say it's like a phone book for communities. You can just actually find any communities nearby, and get to know what they do. Have a look at the different events that they have, and I find that quite helpful for someone who has not yet interacted with tech communities and might just be looking to find a new community dealing with a certain topic they're interested in. And yeah, I think that's quite a good one for communities. Apart from that, one that I can also recommend in terms of communities is if you're in campus, I think talking to other students within campus and getting to understand these different clubs. If the Postman Student Leader has a club within campus, just getting to understand about that. If it's the Google Developer Student Clubs, and I think such clubs will expose you to more and more communities within your area and help you meet learners, help you meet guys who are more experienced, interact with them, and get to grow yourself. When it comes to the category of now finding what you want to learn, I think I have a number of them there. I think one that stands out is Pluralsight. So for
Yes.
me, Pluralsight is like just amazing. It has a mix of these different tech topics that people are interested in, different tech stacks, but it also has a touch of these soft skills and professional skills. So it's like a mix of both, and it offers like great place to kind of like learn that. So Pluralsight Skills is a platform that you can get all of those different courses. Now, a barrier that can come across is it can be pricey. Yeah, I have to agree. Pluralsight can be pricey, which is why I would share it alongside Visual Studio Dev Essentials. Because Visual Studio Dev Essentials was basically, it's like a catalog of different resources, tools, learning resources that you can get, put together by Microsoft for people to learn about their technologies and stuff. And Pluralsight is actually among them. And I think you get like 3 months, if I'm not wrong, 3 months free of Pluralsight, which gives you access to all their library, and you can get to learn whatever it is you want to learn from there. So yeah, I'd recommend checking out Visual Studio Dev Essentials, and it's free. Just signing up with a Microsoft account, you actually get access to all those tools, and you can access Pluralsight through Visual Studio Dev Essentials. One other resource that kind of like stood out for me, and it was during the COVID period, I think LinkedIn Learning put together a good catalog of courses that people can access, whether tech or even soft skills. I know I keep repeating soft skills. It's it's not commonly seen people taking a course on probably. I took a course on designing slides, which is it kind of like feels weird, but I think they have a good library of soft skills and other skills that you might just need to use in your
Yeah.
day-to-day or while interacting with different communities.
Yeah.
So probably I'd go there and take a course on interviews and learn maybe this nitty tips and tricks around how I can ace my next interview and different stuff. So yeah, I'd say LinkedIn Learning is great to access such. I like using it for the soft skills mainly because I find them quite easy to understand and basic, and you can just watch them at your free time while you're kind of like relaxing and get these nuggets of wisdom from different experts in those fields.
Yeah, if I can add super quickly, Clifford, because you mentioned soft skills a number of times, right?
Yeah.
I hate that it's called soft skills because there's nothing soft about it. It's actually really, really challenging. Like technical skills, you can, I think anybody can learn in a given amount of time in some time frame. But soft skills are those that it takes a deeper level of like understanding yourself and like peeling back layers and knowing where you have to grow. Things like public speaking, you mentioned interview skills. Um, Public speaking, especially, I would imagine as student leaders, that's something that you want to be able to feel confident about because you're leading events, you're leading speaking events. People are reaching out to you. You want to be able to network, and do all these other kinds of things that, they're not just something you can read a manual on and be done with it in a week. It takes time, it takes practice, and LinkedIn Learning is definitely one of those resources that's good for that.
Yeah, I think it's better to call them professional skills. I think it kind of like puts some more perspective to it, and it makes it feel more kind of important, because people usually take them for granted, but they are really super important. So yeah, I'd recommend LinkedIn Learning to access some of those. Just get this expert guidance and tips and tricks on some of those different topics, depending on whatever you need to do. So I think Ruby shared about student leaders needing to speak at events. There are probably courses on event planning, to just understand and ensure that you've covered like all these different facets while you're putting together your event. And whatever it is you need, whatever these soft skills you need, you can actually get them there. Now, it is also a pricey platform to some extent. It's paid, and which is why I'd share with an article that LinkedIn put up. I think there's that link that I shared from LinkedIn. I think opportunity.linkedin.com.
Gotcha.
Yes. So I think during the COVID period, like so many people were laid off and so many jobs actually closed. And this was one of the resources that I bumped into that gave me access to so many resources on LinkedIn Learning for free. So I think it was Microsoft and GitHub and these different companies came together to give access on a lot of resources just to help people get back on their feet after the COVID period. So this could be a good place to check and see the curated resources that are free. I think at the top, you can see the three options, just at the nav bar on that site. So you can actually see the courses that you need to take and some tips also there, and just to put you to your next opportunity. So yeah, that's a resource that I could share together with that. And I think I've been speaking a lot, but I think those are the main ones in terms of picking up that new skill or reskilling, or kind of like just making sure you're up to speed with whatever's changing, whatever's coming new, and probably even if you're pivoting to a different kind of field, there'd be good places to check out. When it comes to developer tools now, so let's say you've been able to, I'll give an example. Let's say you're learning C# and you want to build web applications with C#. So probably you'd start by finding some good courses. So probably you go to Visual Studio Dev Essentials, you get access to Pluralsight. Then after that, you go to Pluralsight, you find an extensive library on C#, and you want to actually now get to learn all this. Now, learning alone is quite hard, and that's why community comes in, because you get an amazing environment. So like Meetup would be a good tool to use for that. So you'd probably go and search maybe something like C# or just check communities around you that deal with that, or .NET or anything, depending on the technologies that you're using. So I'm using an example of C#. So you find this community, you interact with new people, interact with people at the same level as you, and those on a higher level than you. And from there, you just build this support system for yourself as you're building on these different skills. Now, from there, you'd need tools now to do kind of like everything that you're doing. You'd need tools to build the amazing stuff that you want to build. And the best resource that I can share for that is now the Student Developer Pack by GitHub. I find it really, I think I'll call it like a toolbox for students, because GitHub put together this amazing repository of different tools that you would actually pay for. So they brought it together and they're giving access to students. So if you are a verified student, you have either your student ID or probably your verified student email. You can actually use it to kind of like get access. And there's so many things you'll get there. You'll get tools for productivity, you'll get tools for cloud, you'll get tools on security, you'll get normal developer tools, you'll get access to IDEs and like so many stuff that you can access there. So I'd say just to share a good repository on developer tools, I'd say just check out GitHub Student Developer Pack. It's a great place to get those tools. And I think that's like a wrap up, a basic wrap up of the resources that I had to share.
Awesome. So just right on time. I do want to shift over to Himanshu pretty soon, but super quick comment, Clifford. I love how you tied all of these resources together because mentally, like that's how we function when we're learning and we're students, right? Where do I go first to learn things I need to learn? Is there a community that's associated with it? Where do I find that community? And like stringing all of these resources together that way makes so much sense to me as an adult professional, but also I would imagine as a student. So thank you so much for sharing these resources. I'm going to shift over to Himanshu. Himanshu, did you have any student developer resources maybe that you recommend or that you've even created yourself that you want to share?
Definitely. Just go for that VS Code extension Twitter thread.
Yes, let's see. Is this the first one? Here it is.
Yeah. So this is the list of 10 VS Code extensions that I personally recommend you to use, and this is a blast list. Like this can really boost up your productivity. Like if you want to create a beautiful README file without any error, you can use Markdown all in one. And if you are a web developer, you definitely should have live server. If you are using ESLint features of JavaScript, so you should have the ESLint extension. You should have Prettier also, cause it will definitely help you to write clean code. And Git lens. I have recently discovered this feature of VS Code that if we use Git lens, it definitely helps us to track down the Git, like when and how the code is commit over there. And GitHub Copilot, Git history is same as that, and Turbo Console log. Turbo Console log, like it really help us to write console log over the code. Like we don't have to write console log again and again. Like ES7, React Redux, React Native snippets, like every web developer or JavaScript developer have that. And this is the wrap of this thread.
Okay. Let's see. Awesome. I did share this thread in the chat for folks if they want to catch some of those links and resources. I love that Himanshu pointed out that these are what the professionals are using in the industry right now to make their jobs easier. So it's definitely worthwhile to learn. Is there another
Correct.
thread you wanted to point out here, Himanshu?
So go for that React one. Yeah. So as we all know, like we should have a great command in JavaScript before jumping to React. So I have personally faced this issue. Like I was rushing toward the React.js before learning the JavaScript. So I jumped back to JavaScript and polished my JavaScript skill before that. So I have just shared some repository over here. These are some repository which can definitely help you out to learn JavaScript in a better way. These are all free resources available over the GitHub, like clean code JavaScript, JavaScript algorithm. You don't know JS, it's a very great repository, and this will definitely upscale your JavaScript skill. Node.js best practices, like these are the code snippet. Along with the code snippets, it really helps you a lot. Awesome JavaScript, and I will be adding more and more repository in this because I have learned a lot from the previous repositories, and these are some latest repositories that have been explored.
Awesome. So I do connect and empathize with your idea here that you should have a strong understanding of JavaScript before you jump into React.
Definitely.
Lots of folks will do the reverse and then have to catch up on their learning, and then it becomes overwhelming. So definitely there is a method to that madness to follow along. So this is a
I
great
plead
resource.
guilty to that.
Awesome.
So yeah, this blog writing route. So I've been started my technical writing. Like it's a great way to share your learning in public. and like try to become a self brand, promote yourself as a brand as well. So these are some tools which I have shared. So like it can really boost up your like writing threads as well as blogs. Like Grammarly is a great way, like it can really fix your English and like grammatical mistakes. Hemingway editor, that tool analyzes your writing and provides suggestions, like where you can do a better way of that. And Google Analytics, yeah, you can integrate Google Analytics and your Hashnote blog, and you can analyze your Google, like you can analyze your blog, how it's going on, and how what kind of optimization you can do. Lumen 5, like it's a video creation tool with an AI. Like if you want to add some GIFs or like short videos in your blog, you can add them.
Awesome. And it looks like you had a lot of positive recognition of this thread as well. Lots of
Yep.
folks finding it very helpful. Awesome. Was there anything else, other resources that you wanted to talk about, Himanshu, or share? And Clifford, I got to get yours into the chat as well, because you had some really excellent ones here too.
Awesome. That's a wrap from my side, Ruby.
Fantastic. So let me stop sharing my screen here and quickly get a list of Clifford's here. So this was the link to the Visual Studio Dev Essentials. You see, VS Dev Essentials. I'm throwing that into the chat for folks to catch. And this was the main one, right, Clifford? So from here, they can get access to Pluralsight and things like that.
Yeah.
Then LinkedIn Learning, I think, was a separate one. Awesome. These are great tips, and I know we should definitely be, there's no such thing as overemphasizing free things, because as students, our budgets are limited. We want to make sure that we can get the most we can during free trials and things like that. And then this GitHub Student Developer Pack as well is something that I think a lot of folks are going to find very handy. Himanshu mentioned this, why not use the things that the industry professionals are already using? This is a bunch of those tools. So this is a great connection here.
I've been using this GitHub pack from the very first year of my college.
Have you found it very helpful for you?
Definitely, it was very helpful.
Fantastic. So I'll stop sharing my screen here. Yeah, I think, let me just double check, because I know I had a couple of things I wanted to mention as well as just general resources. Actually, I should have continued sharing my screen so we can see what that looks like. Awesome. So student programs, of course, is a great place to have a community, do some learning, and what was the other community learning and tools. Obviously, Postman is a developer tool that a lot of folks use. It's a platform for developing and interacting with APIs. So you get a little bit of all three of those worlds right from student programs. And then here, if you want to build or find more communities, there's this great article on some of the top developer communities that you can find. So I'll share that in the chat. A couple of places where you can go for learning. I know I'm surprised we actually didn't touch on this one, because Free Code Camp is such a popular one. Lots of folks go here for initial certifications, which are free, to learn JavaScript and learn all kinds of other technologies. I think they're covering cloud in Free Code Camp now as well. So I'm going to share this in the chat for folks who are very interested in upskilling. On our stream, we also had some representatives from Free Code Camp not too long ago who were talking about the different blog articles that they have, which are so handy for learners. Another one that I really like myself, you'll notice there's no link here. This is daily.dev. This is a Chrome extension that I installed for myself. Anytime I open up a new tab, I get bombarded with a bunch of resources that have to do with the tech industry and different new technologies. Recently, a lot of AI stuff has been popping up here. Some Medium articles, articles about different tools that you can use, different technologies. So it's a very handy Chrome extension. It's called daily.dev. I'll just type that into the chat. So anyone who's interested can download that from Chrome's store here. Chrome extension. And then a few tools. Glitch is one that I know a lot of folks use to create, and they coined the term remix. They remix applications here in Glitch. It's a great place to collaborate with others online to build out projects. There's also this article on what exactly Glitch is for anyone who's curious. And then there's this article on an introduction to Replit. So we talk about IDEs like VS Code that a lot of folks and professionals are using. But there's also Replit where you can kind of do most of what you can do with other IDEs just online with your team. So if you want to collaborate online, keep everything there without having to download any applications, Replit's a good place to do that. So I'm going to add that to the chat as well. And then here is an article from HubSpot on exactly what GitHub is. So we know that a lot of developers use GitHub, GitLab, and a few other tools and resources to help them with their projects that they're looking to work on collaboratively. So when I think about GitHub, I also think about Git and version control. If I'm working on a project that I'm version controlling, but I need to share that with my team, I'll do that through GitHub. And if you're not quite familiar with what GitHub is, this is an article to help you through that. Awesome. Great. So, it looks like Clifford also has a great article here that he has just shared. I'm going to copy that into the chat as well.
Yeah, it's a repository that I kind of like put together for learning Git and GitHub. And I think the kind of approach that I wanted to take in that was, it was a follow-up to a workshop that I had done. And I think I created a games folder where one could actually try using Git and GitHub, but in a way that it was slightly fun. So like there was a memes game where you'd use Markdown to kind of like create branches and stuff and try to add different memes on different categories. So yeah, it was just an experimentation that I was trying, but yeah, people can check it out.
I love that. Gamifying learning is always a good move. So definitely check that out. I added that to the chat for everyone to see. Awesome. So let's actually kind of turn our attention to shoutouts now because we're beginning to wrap up our stream here. So I'll start with my shout out in our community. Recently on our Discord server, let me actually share that Discord link once more for anyone interested in joining. So on our Discord server, I saw Arnab Chatterjee used the Share Your Work channel to show off a blog that he wrote on implementing real-time notifications in your web apps. He made like a thorough explanation on how to get started, as well as provided some background on the technologies that he used. And it's a really, really great read. I'll share a link to his blog article in the chat as well. So this is Arnab's article. And Himanshu, if you're unaware, I've done this with some of your resources on our stream as well. Right from that Share Your Work channel. It's a very popular one where folks are always sharing the things that they're working on, their blog articles, their Twitter threads, things like that. Awesome. One thing I wanted to add here was that we love seeing folks in our community work on and especially, show how they've been applying their API knowledge to build projects. So if you're curious about what folks are doing, you're always welcome to join that Discord. That link again is on the screen right now, and you can find out what folks are doing and share your own awesome work in that same space. So I'm going to pass it over to Clifford here. Clifford, do you happen to have any shout outs for our community members or maybe even today in our chat? Was there anybody who stood out to you?
Yeah, I think I'll give a shout out to two people. So one would be Himanshu. Yes, because I've kind of like looked at the thread and all the things that he's been sharing, and I think they're really amazing. Like keeping that sort of consistent way of putting this information out there, because at times we might take it for granted that the fact that we access them, that others can also find them. But kind of like creating these different threads and sharing these different resources, it's just like amazing. Apart from that, I'll put a shout out to Lucky Joseph. He's also a Postman Student Leader from Nigeria. So the reason why I'm putting a shout out to him is I've been working with him to put together an event that he was planning for his campus to share more on Postman and API literacy, and the kind of approach that he's taking. It's just amazing, and how he really wants to put the best for the event and to share a lot with his community. So yeah, shout out to him as well.
For sure, I agree with those shout outs. Himanshu, did you have any shout outs for the community?
For sure, for sure. Firstly, Clifford, and to you, Ruby, like you have shared some really unique resources to me. Like I can see really unique, and I'll definitely share with my peers. And one shout out I want to give like to Eddie Jaude and Francesca Sir. I am literally learning from them daily. Like their Twitter threads are really amazing. You can check out their Twitter handle as well, and they are like their threads are really amazing, and their threads are really deep. Like they're like open source advocates, and learning from them daily.
Awesome. Himanshu, do you want to share their Twitter handles in our super secret private chat so I could throw them into the public chat?
Definitely in a moment.
Yeah, definitely. So while Himanshu's doing that, we're going to wrap up our shout outs here. And I see I still have the Discord link up here for anyone who's interested in joining our student community. That's the spot to do it. You'll find other folks who are student experts and student leaders around the world. If you want to take the expert training that we've been talking about, the link for that is now on the screen. You can go there for that free API training and basics of Postman introduction there. Awesome. So, sorry, Clifford, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I feel it's really important that even as we're closing up this stream, that I kind of like share this. So we've shared like a lot of resources, and looking at it from the perspective of like the beginner, it can be like overwhelming, like resources left, right, and center. And the best thing that I'd say is, I think the first thing to figure out is like, what do you want to learn or what do you want to do? Then from there, you can filter out the resources that we've shared, find the ones that work best for you, and just take it one at a time. That's one thing that I'd say. You can choke on a lot of resources if you take multiple courses at the same time and different stuff, and like it can be overwhelming and you can choke on them and kind of like feel bad that you've not completed this and that and that, and yeah, it can lead to like a lot of problems. So just say, take it step by step, gradual improvement, and just figure out what you want to start with. The rest you'll find as you go along.
Agreed. Definitely narrow your focus, especially if you're a beginner in the tech industry and in this space. Because I can recall from my experience when I first jumped into tech, it felt like I needed to know everything all at once, and it was tough and it was overwhelming. But find that focus first and dedicate some time to it, like you said, Clifford. And then find the resources and everything you need for that one thing first. And then once you get to that level of confidence, then you can move on. Awesome. Great advice there. Himanshu, did you have any parting wisdom as well?
Definitely agree with the Clifford's point. Actually, I have already faced this issue with myself, learning vast technologies at the same time. So now I'm a bit focused on a point, like on a single technology, like I'm learning to go. So I'm a bit focused over it.
Awesome. So Clifford, if you have a Twitter handle that you want to share as well, I know we got Himanshu's up here. We have a couple of others that he's recommended that are in the chat as well. But I know folks are very interested in what you've shared here today, Clifford, and I know some folks might want to follow you and see what you're up to as well. So if you can share that, we can add that to the public chat.
Okay.
Looks like, yep, there it is. I'm going to copy that. And this is Clifford. Fantastic. So now let's actually go into what we always end our stream with, and that is a Kahoot game. So if you've never used Kahoot, what it is a quiz game that you can play for free with all of us right now by logging into kahoot.it. I'm going to share that on the screen in just a moment. And you can do that on your phone or on your desktop in another tab. If you're watching us in one tab of Chrome, for example, you can open another tab and go to kahoot.it. Once you are on kahoot.it, you can enter the code that you will see on the screen. So let me share my screen and we will start this Kahoot game. So I'll go into classic mode here. The game is loading. And Himanshu and Clifford, feel free to join on your phones as well if you have it nearby.
Okay.
On my browser, I'm going to Kahoot, kahoot.it. I'm going to enter this game pin, which is 9174049. Let's see who jumps on. Okay, we got Kind Bat, Genius Raccoon, our code here is 9174049. And save that and put that on the screen for you. See what that first question is. About how many Postman student leaders are there around the world? Let's see if you know. Is it less than 10? Is it over 500, over 100, or over 20? Oh, some folks thought over 500. We're almost there. Well, doesn't mean we won't get there, but we are actually over 100 all over the world. Nice job, Genius Raccoon. You need a Postman Student Expert badge to become a student leader. Is that true or false? Do you need a student expert badge to become a student leader? I don't know. Clifford mentioned this, I know. Nice. It's true. You do need your student expert badge to become a student leader. And no worries if you didn't join us from the beginning. You can always join in at any time. Who was a guest on our previous episode? Get to know your student leaders. Was it Stephen Torrance from Handshake, Charles Watkins from Grammarly, Tony, a CS and engineering student, or Brian and Damilola from the student programs? What do you think? If you're just joining, that game code is on the bottom of the screen here. 9174049. Awesome. The right answer was Brian and Damilola from Student Programs. Okay, we got Amusing Egret joining us. Where can you learn more about Postman Student Programs? This is the last question. Is it this first link in red, postman.com/student program? Is it learning.postman.com? Is it explore.postman.com or community.postman.com? Let's see, which one could it be? Actually, the community forum is a great place to find community as well within Postman. Postman.com/student program. That's where you can go to learn more about our student programs. Congrats to Genius Raccoon, got first place. We got Kind Bat in second, and we got Dr. Otter in third. Interesting. Nice job. All right, I will stop sharing my screen here. And I'm going to exit that tab because that music is in my ears. It's a great soundtrack that they have, but it's a little much. But yeah, this was so much fun. Thank you, Clifford and Himanshu, for joining the stream today. You added so much knowledge to the stream that I know folks are going to be walking away with. Lots of great resources were shared, lots of great tips on how to navigate the resources as well. So I know there's plenty of opportunity here for folks to rewatch the stream and continue to learn and grow on their own. Was there anything that you wanted to share, Himanshu or Clifford, on our way out of the stream today?
I think I'll just put in like a word of encouragement. I'll just say, take being a student doesn't like discredit you in any way or make you any less in the tech space. You can still do amazing stuff. There are amazing resources that you can start with. I know you might not have the budget that you want to access all the tools that you need, but you can work with what you have and build from there and get even better.
Yeah, agreed. Himanshu, did you have any closing thoughts as well?
So I share more resources and tips and like great tips on my social channel like Twitter and LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter, like I'm more active on Twitter. And this is my handle over here, like you can see after my name, Himanshu Jatwal too. And you can follow me over there and you'll get ton of resources.
Fantastic. Agreed. Himanshu is definitely one to follow for more resources. I know Clifford also is sharing a lot about his student experiences. So definitely check out those resources, revisit the chat to get all of those links. But we will see you next time on our stream, which will happen, as a reminder, on the last Tuesday of every month. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.